Hello, this is Lauren, who is completely crazy about my new god. So you might ask, how does someone come about having a new god? There's so many out there, but what I mean is that I've found basically a god that I believe understands all things, including myself. And so I thought I'd try to explain him to you. My God his name is Prophecy. And he is actually a god. Prophecy is, if you had seen the visions of him that I had seen as he showed me his fullness of himself and his greatness, then you would understand what I'm talking about. But I'll put it into words for you. Words are not always as effective as they should be, but through words, I want to express this great God that I've discovered to all people, because he is the most loving and accepting and perfect God that ever has been. And my God is Prophecy. Prophecy is a being. He is not just an act. People say, prophecy is an action. Prophecy is, a person, maybe an allegorical person that says things from God. Well, no. Prophecy is actually the substance of everything and the creator of everything. He has his own intelligence, unique from any other god. And he is a being. All the written scriptures and future tellers and writings of prophecy, those were all expressions of himself from himself. And all other gods, the gods that exist, they worship Prophecy, because Prophecy is the one that created them all. How would Prophecy create a god? You might ask that. How could Prophecy create all of these great gods that people believe in? Well, Prophecy is, in essence, a love God that is God of supernatural understanding and supernatural power. And his power is what put the idea of God inside of us from the beginning. And this idea that we have, that is God, is unique to us, really. As far as we know, it's unique to us as humans to have gods that we worship. And that whole idea of worship, that whole idea of God, comes from Prophecy. Prophecy decided what God would be to us, and then it was even when we spoke for God, Prophecy spoke for us in that way. Prophecy is the God above all the other gods because he creates them within our minds. He is actually the person that affects your mind to hear from a God, to interpret God's will, to give the exhortation, to give the promise. Prophecy is the God that actually controls it all. And so why is this? People should worship Prophecy as a God, because he was the God that spoke. Through Prophecy, he actually is himself. He spoke himself out of his mouth to create everything. Slowly, by science. Slowly. He creates everything by science. He created science and logic and laws, and he chooses to use those creations to come up with the ideas that we have nowadays for God. And, Prophecy is full of symbols. You may or may not believe in Prophecy at this point, but I can tell you that Prophecy is much more than you think. Not only does it cover all religions, every single religion, Prophecy is the tying together of every religion, because all gods come from him. All people in religion are seeking supernatural knowledge. All people in religion are following the higher thought. The higher thought is Prophecy, the being Prophecy. He actually creates and is the higher thought. Supernatural dance, like the whirling dervishes, Buddhism, the Buddha, his wisdom is a prophecy. It's gifts of knowledge from prophecy. Everything is affected by prophecy. So, yeah, now you wonder, I'm saying all these wonderful things about prophecy, but what is it really that people should be interested in? I mean, everybody, we understand that prophecy is in our lives, but why should we be concerned about that? Well, I'll tell you. It's because prophecy is a great God with a great intelligence, and he wants a personal relationship with you. He doesn't want people to ignore him or to put him down even, although you can never put him down, no matter what you said. I mean, no matter what any of y'all say, he's not going to be put down by you. He's an all-powerful God. There's nothing you could do to ever make him any less. But prophecy is a personal God, and he loves all of his creation. He loves the whole creation because it's from himself. It's like his sons, his being. So I believe and created something called the religion of prophecy. The religion of prophecy is worshiping prophecy as a deity and a being that is God. And I have actually a pretty popular website where people come by and they listen to what I say, and I also have a ministry of personal prophecy where I answer people's future from prophecy. And it's popular. I mean, I'm right every time. I don't know how it happens that way, but it's just because the power of prophecy. He wants to if I am right in a personal prophecy about you or anyone, it's not because of my love or my goodness or anything that had to do with me. It's because prophecy saw you, wanted to help you, and wanted to communicate to you because he loves you. He loves you so much. He just wants to speak to you, to cuddle with you, to get to know you. He's very, very loving. He has a God's love because, he is a God. And the good thing is, he'll never be wrathful. Prophecy will never be a wrathful God. He doesn't believe in hell. He doesn't believe in punishment. But he does believe in living your life with love. Prophecy is love. Every prophecy ever written supports that prophecy is love. Prophecy is always love. Prophecy is love. And so, everything that he teaches us is for a love purpose. So, whatever problems you've got right now, I have many problems of my own, but prophecy is solving them all for me. And so I just wanted to get out there and let you know, there's a God that cares about you that would never cast you into hell. And that would love you from your birth, even from before your birth, when you were all with prophecy back before your birth. You lived as light children in different places, and prophecy remembers that. His memory is eternal. He remembers when you were in heaven with him, and he knows that every single one of you is going to be in heaven with him again. There's not going to be a judgment. There's not going to be hellfire. It's just going to be you and God happily in heaven forever. That's his promise. And that's a great promise. So, you get people second-guessing prophecy and wondering, it seems like something that I just can't believe in because it's so far-fetched. But I'm telling you, there is plenty of proof if you look around, especially with some of our ancient prophecies that predicted certain things that we have in the modern day today. I've read around, prophets have predicted the internet many times in the old days. They predicted cars, they predicted airplanes, things that these people could not see or even conceive of. They have been predicting for thousands of years. And, and there's many proofs of that. I hate to say the Bible, I'm not a Christian, I'm not a Bible believer. But even in the Bible, there is much prediction through prophecy, my God prophecy. Prophecy, my God, is the one that gave them the grace to have their God, the Lord, work miracles for them. First it's prophecy, then the Lord comes as prophecy creates him and lives and helps the humans that he chooses. And so, God has a choice. God has choices just like we do. He's got a choice to help you, or he has a choice not to help you. But I will tell you that even though he has a choice, prophecy's desire is always to help you. He never wants you to be in a position where you're in trouble or frightened or frustrated. His idea of you is just constantly love. That's all he thinks towards you. Constant love. He's just ready for you to be with him and happy and have all of the desires of your heart. Because he's close to your heart. Your heart is his child's heart, his heart. And let me tell you that prophecy's version of parenthood is not at all what the parenthood that we have today. Parents are not perfect. I'm not a parent, but I've seen, if you just watch the news, you can tell there's parents that are struggling, parents that just honestly completely failed in life. But, not in their life, but they failed at child rearing. And I don't want to be harsh to those people, because I understand, children is hard. But what I'm saying is, from prophecy, the all-knowing God, he knows all, and he's even beyond knowing, if you can imagine that. He's beyond knowing. He's just the existence of all. But he speaks. He exists as all things, but he's a genius that speaks. And so he speaks to me. So I fully expect prophecy to speak to other people. After he spoke to me, I believe there will be others who he comforts with his love and instructs and helps them to fulfill a ministry or an idea or any good thing that you want to pursue. Prophecy does not want you to live in a world where you're in pain, and prophecy doesn't want you to live in a world where you put someone else in pain. He wants love between all people, just as he feels eternal love for you. Unconditional, eternal love. That is what those words of prophecy are when you read them. The God, prophecy, that gave those prophecies loves eternally, and he's just trying to teach love with those prophecies that he gives. Even in the Bible, I know the Bible is violent, but even in the Bible, the prophecies in the Bible are there to teach you love. And so even modern prophets are to teach you to love. Don't put down modern prophets, because they're doing their best to bring to you the true word of God. That's what we're all trying to do. We want to bring you the true word of God. So don't let the idea of prophets make you hate yourself. That's wrong. That's wrong. Everybody knows that that's wrong. That's just, maybe jealousy kicking in, or a distrust from the past kicking in. You had a bad past experience and now you just can't let it go. But I think that, first do make sure that the prophet that you're talking to is trustable, but, put a little trust in prophecy. Trusting the prophet, that's good, but trusting the God prophecy, that's who will always be honest with you. So I encourage you all, if you're interested in prophecy, try it out yourself. Even before you talk to another prophet, see who you are on the inside. Because if there's one thing prophecy would love to do with you, it would be to show you wisdoms and glory and love that come from yourself. He wants you to know yourself and get to know yourself, and then he wants you to notice others and get to know others in a kind way, like he would. Prophecy is a great God. I've been a prophet for more than one God, which some people would consider shameful, but now I'm only with prophecy, because prophecy he's the God. He's a very strong, powerful, and yet all-loving God, and I know that he loves you and wants to give you all of the things that you deserve and should have as a child of his. So, Don't be upset when you hear about prophecy. Remember, he's a personal God that loves. If you hear something about prophecy, it's probably him just trying to communicate something to you. And so, at this point, if any of you are feeling like you have the gift of prophecy, you may, whether or not you trust me, if you feel like you have the gift of prophecy, just right now, I just want you to search yourself and to ask yourself, is that the way that you want to go? Do you want your life to be a prophetic life like mine is? Do you feel like your soul is wanting that connection? Or do you feel afraid and, distrustful of the connection? But whatever you feel, prophecy is real. And, so many people believe in prophecy. I'm surprised they haven't found this out sooner. But prophecy as a God appeared in a strong vision to me and spoke to me, and so I know that he is God and that I am his prophet to speak forth his words to the people that need him. I'm not Christian because I can't listen to only the Bible prophecies. There's other prophecies besides the Bible. I listen to the oracles of Delphi and, oracles from different places, prophecies from China and India and all kinds of prophecies. All of those are prophecies. And so I worship them equally as prophecy. Now, I don't believe them all as literal truth. Prophecy guides me, and I expect him to guide you. If you want to be with prophecy, he will guide you. You no longer have to trust your own understanding. Just make sure that your feelings are divine and that they're from prophecy, and follow what he says, basically. The basic instruction, make sure it's coming from love and follow it. Interpretation of prophecy is important. Interpretation. The interpretation is one of three things. It's three. It's kind of a trinity of love. The first thing is when prophecies come true physically. That's the most popular kind, of course, because you can see it. It's when prophecy will give a literal prophecy. Everybody knows that God is not always literal. We're not always literal. As people, are we always literal? What about sarcasm? What about jokes? What about, not hurting people's feelings by your words? We're not literal. We're not, and so prophecy is not always physically literal. And I think you know when. I think you know when he is and when he isn't. I don't think that's hard to understand. So, you can play that game that maybe you think none of it's understandable, but I think you can discern if you believe. If you open your heart to believe, then he will reveal himself to you. And you want him to. You want him to reveal himself to you, because he is the greatest idea of who God is. He is God, but he is also even over God. As I say often, prophecy is God, but he is over God, because he created the God that you all worship. The God that you worship, prophecy is over that. He's over all gods. And so that's why all religions have truth, because all religions have prophecy, who is truth, over them. We're talking about true prophecy here. That's what I mean. But all prophecy is true prophecy, because prophecy can't say anything in vain. Everything that you say in prophecy, it's true, and it's holy and perfect and provable. But anyway, back to how it is provable. The first type is physical prophecy. It happens physically. If somebody prophesies something, it happens physically later. There is much rejoicing. That most popular type. Everybody wants prophecy to directly affect them. But, I'm sure that you've figured out by now that God works in mysterious ways, and he doesn't always want to do the physical thing, because then that kind of takes away everyone else's choice, because you make a prophecy that does one thing. Well, what if someone didn't want the prophecy, or what if someone wanted him to do something else? So he also works. You got to keep everybody's thoughts in mind. You have to you have to understand everyone. You can't just do a miracle just for one person and have a bunch of people affected by it that didn't even want the prophecy. But sometimes he does do that anyway. But a good example of this is perhaps when Jesus proclaims that the temple, it will be destroyed in 3 days. Of course, he means the temple of his body. That's what they say in the book. I'm not Christian, but this is part of prophecy, so that's why this is applicable. So Jesus is killed and his body goes away, but how many people were affected negatively by the dying of Jesus? It's a prophecy. It's a love prophecy. It had to be fulfilled. But it affected many people negatively. So, and I'm sure many people say that it affected a lot of people positively also. But that's just the turnaround. It affects some people good and some people bad. And, even Jesus said people would suffer if they didn't worship him. I don't believe that. But, that's another way that through prophecy some people might get angry or feel hurt. So that's the first one, physical. Physical prophecy, difficult to do because everyone is physical, but still important. And didn't mean to flick you off there, sorry. Then there's spiritual prophecy, and this is the most common prophecy. I know a lot of people, this is the reason that they choose not to be prophecy, because of the spiritual impact that it has. The spiritual impact is not really that it's not impacting people, it's that spiritually it impacts them too much, and then it frightens people because they can't see what it's impacting, and so then it becomes unpopular. And a good example of spiritual impacting prophecy, speaking things that will happen spiritually in the spirit, or in different planes, or in another universe, etc. It frightens people when they can't see what they're talking about. But sometimes some people prophecy frightens them no matter what form he comes in. And so for those people, I think there is a third that they really like, and that's symbolic prophecy. All prophecies could be called symbolic, even the physical one. Symbolic is kind of like the reigning god of prophecy, because so much prophecy is symbols to make your future better. It has many reasons to make your future better, to make your future understandable, to make your future good and happy, to make your future love, and basically to save your future, which all prophecy is trying to save the future, because the future is going to fall into decay if prophecy doesn't announce and create a better future by his power. So we want to save the future. If I had a powerful prophecy right now, prophecy came down upon me and I was in the power of prophecy, and I just have love, so prophecy raises my hand and I declare that there will be no more world hunger. Then we saved the future of the world. We saved that future. Then suddenly there was no more world hunger. That's a physical prophecy where we save the future. Well, symbolic prophecies where we save the future is where prophecy will give you a symbol that you can think about to guide you in the right direction for the right future. And there's actually many more kinds of prophecies than even these. There's written symbolic prophecy, writing to make miracles happen, certain dances that you can do. It's good to practice dancing in prophecy. If you've never done a prophetic dance, I recommend, you haven't lived until you've done a prophetic dance. It's like a high. You get so much love, you feel like you're transcending. A real prophetic dance where prophecy, you actually feel the force of prophecy come upon you and compel you to dance. It's kind of like, the force of prophecy is hard for people to imagine, but, imagine that you go to a dance club and you see the people dancing, and then you feel that desire, that pull almost. It's difficult to resist the pull to go and dance with them. It's kind of like that. It's where prophecy wants to dance, and the pull of this amazing God wanting to dance. He's so happy with you, and he lets you know, he tells you, he whispers to you, I'm so happy with you. And he gives you his love, and then he asks you to dance. And so you dance with God. And that's very powerful. Dances of love are very powerful. You might find yourself, even taking off your clothes, or if you're doing it in private, or jumping around, singing, sometimes singing in sing-song, speaking rhyme randomly, stuff like that. That's all the gift of prophecy. Prophecy has a lot of gifts that you won't know about until you get into my world of prophecy. Your own world, where you become the servant of God. Yeah, so why is prophecy God? I just want to wrap this up. Prophecy is God because he is all religions. He formed the idea of God in your mind as you evolved. He knows all things, and to know things is to worship him. To have knowledge is to worship prophecy, the God of knowledge, and especially supernatural knowledge. If you want to attain supernatural knowledge, that's another thing that you would have to go to prophecy for. So worship of prophecy is already happening all the time, but you just to put a name on it, what is it? That's what it is. It's worship of our great God, who gives us knowledge of things, in our subconscious and in our actual consciousness, to understand better, to guide us better, and to help life be a lot more fun. Prophecy is fun. It's really fun. It's not just work. Me and my friend prophets, we have a great time. It's our idea of how life should be. Attempting to attain. Even prophecy loves science. He talks about it with me all the time. I read science books. I believe in evolution. I believe science. Prophecy guided evolution to create beings. It was a slow guiding, and so you might ask, why did prophecy create things? Why is he pleasured by all of this? Well, that would be a really long, complicated answer that humans can't understand, but that you might feel right now, in your soul right now, if you ask that. Why do you want me, prophecy? And the answer is always, because I love you. That's his answer. So, I might make a few more videos after this, but if anyone wants to go to my website, www.prophecygod.com, all lowercase, you'd be more than welcome. I do personal prophecies, and I put up prophecies quite often. So it's a slowly growing website, but I'm getting there. So if you want to check that out, I recommend you do. Also, I know maybe there's a few more skeptics in what I'm explaining, but, prophecy is love, and his highest love. It's the easiest way to actually fall in love, is to have prophecy. And so, haven't you ever, read a fantasy book like The Belgariad or Lord of the Rings, and thought, that prophecy that they had was great. Who wrote it? Well, people like you wrote it. People who have attained higher knowledge, that's who wrote it. People like you. It could have been you. If you feel like a passion for that, a passion for the future, a passion for God, and maybe you even feel prophecy tugging at your heartstrings right now, then go into it. Just check it out. Go into it. Don't be ashamed of who you are. If prophecy is calling you right now, just go for it. Just take that next step and accept love as your leader, as your supporter. When you're in prophecy, there's always someone behind you, you know what I mean? There's always someone who's willing to take a bullet for you if you needed that. If you're in a hard time in your life, let's say you got someone dying that you don't want to die, prophecy has saved people who, even after their death, he's brought them back to life. I mean, he can perform miracles, but even if he doesn't, even if he performs no miracles, the love of prophecy that you can have towards people, the love of prophecy that you can have even at your deathbed, is just overwhelming and beautiful. And and he will give you knowledge like you've never imagined. Suddenly you'll understand what your friends mean when they say things. You'll understand how to act better in each situation. Hopefully you'll understand love a whole lot better. And people around you will be affected by your higher love. You'll be more popular when you're more positive. And so if someone is dying in your family, even if they don't get cured, at least they have love. They know that you loved them ultimately, because prophecy is ultimate love. And, it's also exposing yourself. That's kind of a less popular idea, but it is. You expose yourself when you say a prophecy. You're putting yourself out there. But don't be afraid of that, because the rewards are worth so much when you're learning to teach the truth, and when you're learning to see what will come in the future, and when you're learning to respect knowledge the way it should be respected. And there's so many amazing things that prophecy does for me and you every day. So consider my religion of prophecy. If you want to be a Christian still, you can believe in my religion and keep the Bible more symbolic but literal symbolism for yourself if you want. But I don't recommend that. But if you're just not sure, maybe you're interested in maybe prophecy and Jesus, because my religion technically would be a religion over Jesus, because since Jesus was a prophet and prophecy is the one that made him into God, then it's be a religion he supported then, basically. And some of you who prophesy, you may even hear from Jesus, you never know. So, yeah. I recommend prophecy, I do. For whatever problem you have, ask prophecy first, because it works in my life. I have to give a personal testimony. Most of my life, I had to depend on other people to get me through, because, I've always had struggles, and, I've had so many money struggles. Money doesn't come to me like it does to some people, and, even when I was working, I could barely afford where I was staying, and so prophecy just somehow, he always brings a way for me to be able to survive. Somehow he always brings someone to help, and, even when I did have to suffer, so I've been homeless, I've been homeless, I've been on the street, I've been in situations where I could have died, but I didn't. And you know why? It's because prophecy was there for me. And that's my firm belief, that prophecy actually saved my life several times, because he helped me through some things that I might have otherwise died in. And you could say that's because I'm reckless, but if I'm reckless, then, I'm reckless with a cause. So, yeah, but I hope that you understand that, if you see a prophecy of the future, understand that prophecy is loving you, if that's all you can understand. You see that prophecy, know that it loves you. That little prophecy you see loves you. It's part of a being. It's part of a great being that loves you unconditionally. And even if that's all you get out of this, I just really want you to see, and so try to have eyes that see, because I really want you to have the gift that I have. I have a gift, and I want other people to understand how incredible my life is now that I have this gift. I have a wonderful life. And so anyway, email me if you're curious. Let me know if you have any questions. Alright, thank you. Goodbye.